I was supposed to take this out.
Good evening and welcome to Roll Call. My name is Jake Princefire Brostrom, and alongside me is Miss Emily Kate. Tonight on Roll Call, we will have on two top Call of Duty players. Nexxx, who is teaming with Obey, along with Rambo from Optic. To start off on the show, we'll be bringing on Nexxx to talk about possible competitive rule sets for this season, along with discussing the Fear Cup, which happened just a few days ago.
Next to talk about.
So,
This is so slow.
I need Nexxx. I need Nexxx. I need Nexxx.
Yeah, I'm right here.
All right, Nexxx. How's it going, man?
Good, how are you?
Pretty good. So, how about you introduce yourself? Let everyone know who you are, who you're playing with, what you do. Just
Alright.
stuff.
I'm Nexxx. I've been playing since Call of Duty 4. Pretty much started out playing S&D only, and Modern Warfare 2 kind of where I got started on the competitive scene. I made it all the way to the GameStop finals, and after that, baseball started up, so I had to quit Modern Warfare 2. Then Black Ops, I came back, and that's where I got my title of professional camper. Kind of got it all started there. And then in this game, I was on Young Guns, but then recently I made a roster change, and I'm back on Team Obey now. And that's pretty much my career in short few sentences.
All right. Well, glad to see you're doing well. We're gonna start off with a few questions. Emily, take it away.
All right. Now, we all know that you're very opinionated when it comes to MW3 and what you think should or should not happen. What is your ideal rule set for MW3?
Well, pretty much my ideal rule set is I really like the S&D better than CTF in this game, but for me, I feel like going S&D only is a really big stretch. So for me, I think in a best of 5 series, having 3 S&Ds and 2 CTFs would be a great fit for the game. Cause I just feel like S&D plays a lot better than CTF. That's just my opinion, though. More entertaining to watch. It's like it's never over until it's over.
Mhm.
Like in CTF, you can get down by like 4 flags and 30 seconds left, and the game's over. Nobody wants to watch that. But S&D is never over until it's over. Like you can always have a 1v4 clutch, 1v3 clutch. It's always like people watch until the end. That's why I like watching a lot better than any other game mode in this game.
So you agree with MLG potentially making it S&D only?
Yeah, I feel that would be like the best thing, but I just think that's a really big stretch, and I don't know if it's really gonna happen or not.
Now, the thing about SND is you can have one person basically backpack your entire team, whereas CTF is more of a team-based game. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, that's kind of a tough situation because that one person that like can backpack the team, for him to backpack like that, you'd have to like there'd be a lot of clutch situations like to backpack. You'd have to pull off 1v4s, and that's what the spectators like to watch. Like that's part of the biggest thing is watching one player go huge for a team. Everybody likes to watch that. Whereas CTF is just like it's not that special. Watch a person like get 3 kills, 2 kills in a row, and then they switch the cam onto another player. I don't know. It's just like a different type of like I don't know. It's hard to explain a little bit.
But when you have CTF, you could have a team get down by 3 flags, and then they can come back in the second half and cap that 4th flag and take the win.
Yeah, but that's like it's a little slower. Like, and the odds of that happening are a lot less than it is in Search and Destroy. Like, you see comebacks in Search and Destroy, I feel, a lot more than you do in CTF.
Oh, don't get me wrong. A nice 3-0 comeback to win it's always fun, but I don't know. Just something about CTF in this game makes it seem a little bit interesting to me.
Yeah, I completely agree. I feel CTF's a lot more entertaining to watch in this game than it was in Black Ops.
Now, I don't mean to cut you guys off. Now, in regards to you had CTF, obviously, at COD XP, and they added in kill streaks into there. Now, what is your opinion on the use of kill streaks in competitive gaming?
Kill streaks, like, I just don't really feel the need for them. Like, if they were to happen, I just feel like all the teams would come up with a way to counter them and make them pretty much completely useless. And just like, it depends on what kind of kill streaks, but in a way it might like come up with more camping, or I don't know. I just like feel like it ultimately be useless because say you got a kill streak, a team would just switch a class like to counter it, and it'd be taken down, or they'd put on like, say it was a UAV or something, they just put on whatever the perk is to counter UAV. I just don't think it would work out very well.
Now, I've been following the European scene, and a lot of European players tried scrimming using EMPs only. How do you think that would play in?
EMPs only. That would actually be kind of interesting. I've never scrimmed that and never like watched the game, but that could be pretty interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Alrighty, moving on.
Okay, now what are your opinions on what weapons, if any, should be banned? I know that you are very strong on Twitter when it comes to this type.
The only gun I think that should be banned is the Type 95. That gun is just ridiculous. I hate getting killed by it. Frustrates me. Hate it when people use it.
Now, is it because like you don't think it takes skill or overpowered?
I just think it's overpowered. A gun shouldn't kill you that fast. I don't know. And two, I feel like it slows the game down a lot. It's just like there's just a lot more head glitching, a lot slower play when it's used.
Now, one could also argue that the MP7 is possibly overpowered. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think that's the strongest SMG. It's really good up close, and it got like the range of assault rifle. It's overpowered, but I don't think it's as overpowered as a Type 95. Like, it's nothing that stands out than any other gun in any other game. Like,
now, along the same lines, do you think it should be restricted as to what guns team can use, such as having a set amount of people running assault rifles and SMGs, or letting people freely use what they want so you can see a team of 4 MP7s or 4 Type 95s?
I feel like a team should be able to use whatever they want. Like, some teams will work better having 4 SMGs, everybody pulling. Some teams work better having like 2 Slayers and like 2 people that focus around pulling the flags. Like, I think it's all preference there. Like, some teams like everybody pulls, some teams like only 2 people like focus around pulling, like that kind of stuff.
It's also been talked about how people are saying a sniper should be implemented for all teams. What do you think about that?
I really don't know. I'm not a big fan of sniping. I think that I'd much rather see a much faster paced game than somebody sitting back with a sniper. But that's just my opinion. It could work, but I'm not really for it.
Now, did you already say what your primary weapon was?
My primary weapon?
Yeah.
I like to use the UMP and the MP7 in Search and Destroy, and then in CTF I use the ACR.
Okay.
Alrighty, so we're going to move on here away from the talk about rules, and let's talk about the Fear Cup, which Nexxx participated in. Now, the Fear Cup was the first major event of the 2012 year, obviously, because it was held on New Year's Day. I can talk, right? And they had 3 streams going for it, Fear did, and they averaged about 1,000 concurrent viewers among all 3 streams combined. Nexxx, how do you think the tournament ran? Do you think it was a successful tournament?
Yeah, I feel like the tournament was pretty good. It had a lot more competition than I thought was going to be in it. And the only downfall of it was like the waiting because the site went down, but it happens. Other than that, I feel like it was really good. I had a lot of fun playing in it.
And where did you guys end up finishing?
We ended up getting second. We lost to Force.
Now, who's on?
Alrighty. What was that, Emily?
Who's on like the updated Force? Like, I know, didn't they just have a roster change, or am I wrong with that? Anybody know?
I have no idea. I just know that the Force that we played, it was Titan, Ovia, Slacked, and one other. I can't think of his name right now.
Huddle.
Oh yeah, Huddle. That's it.
Okay, I got you. Now, in
Alright,
regards,
so-
like stepping away from the Fear Cup, just in competitive scene in general, what team right now do you believe is currently like your most competition? Not necessarily the best, but gives you guys a run for your money.
Like right now, after all these team changes, I feel like any of the teams, like the big name teams, could be like a good team. Optic Nation's looking good. Optic Gaming. What other team? Envy. And JCap's a great player. I'm sure whatever team he joins will be a top team. Like, there's just a lot of competition right now. Of course, LVG. They're like, if I had to say, LVG is probably the strongest team right now, just because with all the team changes, their team has been together pretty much the longest and scrimming more than anybody.
All right, and one last question. I want to know your opinion on the claims that Obey camps too much.
That was Black Ops. In this game, I do not camp
I
at
don't know.
all.
I don't know. I was at COD XP, so you guys had a couple TDMs there that were hard to watch. But
Oh.
of course, that was the beginning of the game. So
Well, I guess that's why TDM isn't in the competitive.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
this is camping in that no matter who it is. Like, TDM's just camping, period. Nobody's going to run around with a 2-kill lead in TDM. Like, that's why I don't like that game mode. But in this game, I never camp. Episodes, sometimes, like, part of our strategy is he sits and watches flanks so the team just can't swoop into our base and pull the flag. But that's not very often. It's just, like, some maps where you got to have somebody watching, like, staying back, keeping an eye on your flag.
Like hard hat.
and Dome, like, we like to push through the hallway and people just run right through the Hummers if you don't got somebody watching your flag there.
All right, well, I think that's about all we have for next. Do you have anything else you'd like to say before we let you go?
Nope, I'm good to go.
thank you for
All right,
coming
well-
out. We'll be sure to have you back.
thank you guys for having me.
No
Yeah,
problem.
no problem. All right, well, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll be bringing on Rambo, the new actual returning member of Optic. Stay tuned. All right, and welcome back. We are now sitting here with Rambo of Optic Gaming. How about you introduce yourself for all our viewers?
What's up, guys? I'm Raymond Lucier, more known as Rambo. I'm a Frenchie from Quebec. I've been playing video games for a little while now. A lot of you know me as the Frenchie that's been to events a lot and won a lot. But in general, I've been starting gaming competitive since about, I'd say, late 2008. I've been gaming MLG since, playing really hardcore. I've been gaming professionally as my career for about a year and a half now. And that's pretty much it. I've won a few events and doing it big.
Now, why don't we obviously know that you had some roster changes last season. Can you explain, what happened and how your team did towards the end of the season?
Well, obviously most of you know that I got dropped off Optic, the team I am back on now. Mainly the reasoning we weren't winning, and I guess we weren't really like playing to our full potential. Obviously, it's debatable to why, but I mean things changed and they changed for a reason. Obviously, they won the event after that, so you can't say they made a bad move. As far as my team after that, I had about a week and a half to put a team together. I tried teaming up with Nexxx Threat, but then Saints went to Envia, so that fell down the water, and I had to put a team up together in like a few days, and I fell on Revan, which was a really good communicator in general, was active. Karma was a beast, and Bobby was my type of player. So we had a pretty good team together, considering the amount of time we had to put it together. We didn't play very much, which kind of like hurted us more a lot. So we did pretty good considering the circumstances, I guess.
Yeah, I noticed that you did put a team together on such short notice. Of course, you were trying to run with some of the, you're trying to keep your team name and run with some known players in the beginning of MW3, were you not?
Yeah. Well, I mean,
right?
I wasn't really planning on sticking. After Providence, really was the only player I really would have wanted stuck with through that team was Revan because he was the only player that I felt was dedicated enough to be on a successful team. But sadly, things went another way, and then I was with Scumpy. Me and Scump decided a team, and then we switched through. We played with Assassin and Twiz for a bit, and then that fell off, and then we played with Apti and Too Quick, and then Scump left for LVG again, and mainly things switch up a bit, and then I'm here now back with Ate.
Now, you, of course, don't necessarily consider yourself, or what would you consider yourself in regards to a type of player you are? Objective, Slayer?
Obviously, if anyone has to put a role on my head, it's probably objective player. I mean, obviously, like I don't really agree in the whole role type thing, but I'm a running gun player. If you really want to put it that way, I'm not the type of player that's gonna sit around. I'm always a player that's gonna try to be aggressive and make something happen. And obviously, by doing that, you're gonna find yourself more often than not being under flag. So obviously, you're gonna be in a position to pull flags more often than not.
Right. Now, of course, everyone always hits you up all the time, you know, how do you get into competitive gaming? What do you think it takes to be a successful objective player?
There's different things about the objective role that people don't really understand. It's really about always the hardest thing for an objective player is to understand when you have to push and when you don't have to push. It's really easy to be like, okay, well, my team's not really going to pull flags. I have to do it for it, so I'm going to be the one that's going to have to pull flags. So I'm always going to be running towards their flag. But there's always situations that you have to do it or not, and that's really where a smart objective player comes into play, where he's able to. A lot of actually, I'm going to cut off right down and say a lot of the times an objective player goes really negative is because he's not doing that. He's always trying to push up and progress, and there's always times that you have to progress and times you don't have to progress, and that's really where I'm at in my gaming career right now. Is I'm starting to understand how to do so, and that's why in my opinion, this is my strongest title because I myself I'm getting smarter with that, the whole role itself, and starting to understand the situations really early in the game compared to everyone else, in my opinion, to where I have to push and not to push, and I think that's really makes me a strong player right now.
Right. No, I mean, there's a lot of discussion on a lot of times an objective player dropping high numbers in scrims. Does that make them, in your eyes, do you think the best or you know, a better player on their team? Why or why not?
I mean, there's so many variables to what numbers can mean. I really don't agree with stats. If you drop a lot of kills, you drop a lot of kills. I mean, the best thing to do if you get 5 flag caps, you're dropping 30 bombs, your team's going to be winning every game. There's no doubt. So
right.
That's pretty much what I aim for every game, is trying to get a high number of kills while progressing and playing smartly and staying alive. I think that's the main thing about an objective player. The longer the objective player is alive, the harder it is for the other team to push out, because everyone knows who the objective player is on the team. Like, example, when we play leverage, we look for sensor. If you kill sensor, nothing's being done objective-wise. That's the way they play. So every player on the team is like that. So as long as that player is alive, it's really hard for the opposing team to be like, okay, well, we can just make a push. Because there's always that one player in the back of your head that's going to be like, okay, well, if he's not dead, then someone's got to stay back or someone's got to do something like that. And that's when you start getting people's head like that. It's really, I think that's the main point of an objective player, is to always stay alive as long as you can and just battle it out, to be progressing, like I said, progressing fast, but not doing it stupidly and mindlessly.
Continuing on with that, do you think it would be more efficient if teams had more than one person who would push up and play the objective to try to keep teams off guard?
That's pretty much what we do right now. The way I've always ran teams in my entire gaming career is there's never one person designated to do an objective. Every player on the team has to put in their every player who's in the situation to do anything objective-wise has to do it. There's no I have an ACR, I'm 3-footed away from the flag, I'm not going to pull it because I got an ACR. It doesn't work that way. Every time you pull a flag, even if you don't cap it, if you pull it mid-map and you die, then it still makes the other team push towards the middle of the map instead of going back to their flag and playing defensively. It makes them push out of position, and at that point, the other players on the team can get kills. And I think that's really where people fall into the whole hole of role play, where they're all like, okay, I'm a Slayer, I'm not going to push. It just doesn't work that way. It's never... Every team who's going to be consistent at the top level needs to have 4 players on the team that are willing to do everything.
All right. So we're going to touch on some rules with you now. What is your ideal rule set? Which game types do you think should be played?
I agree with Nexxx on the whole 3 S&D and 2 CTF mark. There's not because CTF is better, just because there's not enough CTF maps, really. It's a lot easier to get a good S&D map compared to a good CTF map due to the spawn system in this game. So I really feel like I don't really agree with Hard Hat being CTF. I feel like there should be 4 CTF maps and 7 S&D maps. And as obviously going 3 S&D maps in the best of 5 and 2 CTF maps and like S&D CTF, S&D CTF. CTF, SNE, or whatever.
And on the whole Type 95 issue, do you think it should be banned, or do you think it's a
I have
viable
not
weapon?
seen the type used enough to believe it's going to be banned. I just don't feel like it's a weapon that's really. I mean, it's good, but it's not like it's not the type of weapon you're gonna. It's like not in Black Ops where you're gonna see 4 FAMASs being used. It's just really a gun that really promotes slow play. So you'll see a guy or two come out and use it, but it's. I think it actually nerfed it. I think it's not really a one burst anymore. It's like you'll get the one burst here and there, but it's even then. You just unless really if any in any game, unless you see someone 4 players on the same team using the same gun, there shouldn't be a question about a ban.
Did you think the FAMAS should have been banned in Black
Yes,
Ops?
I did. Me and Big Time
I
made a
was
push for
gonna
it
say
during
that was
midseason,
we talked about with
and
you.
we made a push during midseason to get the FAMAS banned. The players actually agreed to it. I'm not entirely sure why it wasn't happened. In my opinion, it would have made the game a lot more interesting to watch due to the whole, like whenever I watched Black Ops, I just couldn't bear the 4 FAMAS. Really, it's just there's no like there's always I just said I didn't like the whole role thing, but it's still something that people need to relate to. Not really the role thing, but like players that use SMGs. Oh, this guy's a good SMG player. I want to watch him. I use SMGs when I play Call of Duty, so I want him to see it. But and really, you couldn't relate to shit in Black Ops because it was just FAMAS. If you didn't use a FAMAS, then you wouldn't do anything. That's the way I
Now,
saw
before
it.
we switch over to some stream questions here, how do you feel that there's going to be 2 teams representing Optic this season? Do you think
It
that's
doesn't really bother
beneficial?
me.
Do you
to be
view them
honest.
as competition, or how do you?
No, it was the same thing last year. The first 2 events are well, not the first 2 events. Nate Shot replaced me for Dallas because I was sick, and then for Columbus they had Optic Nation there, and we played them in pool play, and they actually came close to beating us. They won the pool compared to us, and we came back from loser rack and won the event. But it really I don't really see the problem in having 2 teams from Optic. I mean, Nate Shot's always been Optic, so I mean it's really he's relatable to the Optic scene. People want to see him, like people from Optic like seeing him. So I really don't see the problem with it as long. Obviously, there's to the point where they're not going to be getting as much as we are, or I don't even know if they're getting anything from the whole like sponsorship thing in general. But I mean, the more the better, really. I don't feel like they're competition or anything in general. As far as like, obviously they're a good team. I'm not saying that in the competing way. I'm just saying like the competing for the best Optic team or anything. I don't really feel like that's something that needs to be thought about. Really, it's just
Right.
it's another
Now,
team
of
with
course, obviously it was public on how they dropped Fizzr. Who do you feel would be a beneficial fourth for them? And them.
Well, I mean, I really hate getting on people's cases, but Fizzerb is the biggest killer in his game. He really had no place on the team. He has no place on the top team, in my opinion. I'm sorry to say, until he understands what playing to win means. Like, we scrimmed him, and he was going like 15-3, and his team was losing by like 3 flags. Like, if you're letting an opposing team getting more flag caps than you have deaths, and you're actually losing by that much, it's pathetic. Like, I'm sorry to say. As far as who they should go for, I'm really not sure what's out there. To be honest, I haven't really been looking. The best player that I play with, apart from Dion Optic, obviously, NK Assassin was a beast. I'm sorry to anyone who's out there who's looking. I'm not really sure if he's still playing with Too Quick or an Apsy. They're also great players, but NK Assassin is really good. And a lot of people don't know who he is because he hasn't been around in Black Ops. But he was actually a pro on COTS 4, and that kid's got game, to be honest.
He started getting his name out there on your stream a little bit too.
Yeah.
Yeah, recently.
All right. So everyone wants to know, how do you feel about being back on Optic? How do you feel you'll fit in? How does it feel to be back with the group of guys that you played
It's
a lot of
good.
Black Ops with?
I bleed green. No, it's all. I really like Joey's probably like my favorite person out of everyone. Obviously, Big Timer and me have a great history together, and Proofy's the beast altogether. Like he's every player on the team respects each other on a skill level, and we all feel like we have what it takes to win. And obviously, there's a lot more to it than just teaming. I'm not going to get in depth with that because I don't really feel like it's not really to be talked about at the moment. But just being back on the team is awesome. There's so much things that we can look forward to for this season, and it's just great. Like I'm back on a team where I can enjoy as much as playing wise and hanging out outside the game. Not that I wasn't that with the other players I used to play with, but it's just as a group right here. It's like we're like family. We're like brothers. You know.
Wow. All right. Just kind of switching up the topic a little bit. What are your thoughts on the major growth in the community? This question actually came from Golden Boy. But you've been seeing a lot more tournaments come up lately. You just have the Fear Cup. You have, GB Live. You have more ICNs. And they're all dedicated to just COD. Now, how do you feel about that?
There's a lot to be worked on. I don't want to be a party pooper. I know you guys have been running tournaments in general. I'm a really strict person as far as what I want to play in. There's a lot of things that need to be worked on as far as entering tournaments and playing tournaments. first of all, the whole, if you look, I'm going to compare Call of Duty to StarCraft because StarCraft is the mecca of competitive EV sports right now. Everyone knows that StarCraft's the best game out there right now for competitive for so many reasons. It's the most watchable, it's the most enjoyable, and it's not only because of the game itself, it's because how they run these tournaments. The StarCraft has about like 3 or 4 tournaments a day, and all of them are different different styles. They're not all single elimination bracket tournament. That's really, it's like, I don't want to say it's boring to play in those, but it's just not enjoyable, and it's always the same thing. It's so repetitive. You always play, okay, single elimination, I'm playing here, and like Nexxx was saying earlier, there's always long breaks between games and tournaments like these, and that's the way. That's how I feel. Like you shouldn't have to be on for an entire day playing a tournament. In my opinion, there should be one big tournament per site, and one of the ideas I put out, I was talking about I'm going to say a couple of weeks ago, was a league.
About your league, yeah, I remember talking to you a little bit about that.
It was a StarCraft GSL style league where teams would be playing for it would be a season league, where you would play for the whole season will last about 2 months. You would have a pro section that would pay to enter, which would be like, let's say $250 per team. You have 16 like UK pro teams, and they would play for money. Then you have the amateur section would play, would be like a ladder-ish type thing, and they would play to get into the pro section for the next season. So you have amateur teams that are trying to battle out to become a pro team of that season, of that league, and then the pro teams are battling for money, which is what they want to play for. That's the whole point. That's the whole point of playing pro. You're playing for money. And obviously then a tournament like that would be very, very easy to have streaming content, YouTube content. If you really want to go in depth with it, you could have every game live stream, every top team live stream, have Golden Boy commentate, have anyone commentate, it doesn't matter. Then go on YouTube, post the videos. It's like there's so much money to be made there for a simple idea that anyone out there can just take it and just go for it. It's really, It's not hard to run an interesting tournament that with a different format. That's the word I was looking for earlier, format, to have teams play for and have fun. Amateurs would enter because they want to become pro. Pros would play because they want to make money. It's as simple as that. Who wouldn't want to play in those?
Now, do you think more tournaments would be successful if they actually spread them out over the course of a weekend and actually made it a double elimination bracket?
Yes, I do. I disagree with the whole one-day tournament thing. As far as I love egos tournaments, but who the hell wants to play for 10 hours straight?
It's so long.
It's not that you're playing for 10 hours straight. You're waiting hours between games. It is so boring.
It's just the bracket play is just not really run, organized.
It's just when you have a tournament that big with so many freaking teams, it's like, okay, you say, well, like even then, it's like so hard to respect. You have, like, let's say 8 rounds of play, and you have it's not like every team's going to finish between the hour, because then when one team gets delayed, delays the next match, delays the next match, and there's the next match. It takes forever. And obviously, I have nothing wrong with what Ego's doing, because Ego runs them free, and Ego's awesome for the community because he runs big events for everyone, and it's awesome for everyone. But I just feel like there should be these season-type plays. There should be one site that comes out of the gate and says, okay, we're going to get sponsored this tournament. We're going to make it as big as possible for pro teams to make money in it. Everyone's going to want to watch this tournament. We have daily streams of teams playing. Let's say the first group's going to be week 1. Second group's going to be week 2. You have streaming games every night. You play one game every night at 9 or whatever. And then you have content for your site, whatever. And it's just so simple. There's so many, like I was saying, there's so many ways of making money off of this. It's not even funny.
Now in regards to, sorry, Jake.
Go ahead.
In regards to like your league setup and tournaments, you get a lot of AMs tweeting at you, and I see it, all the time. That everyone's complaining. I'm not sure exactly how you feel about this. That they're not getting a shot. You're putting them in a tournament where maybe first round they're matched up with a pro team.
This is the point. This is the point of this league.
I mean, how can you learn or grow if you're not playing against people that are better than you?
Well, it's not the way it is, to be honest. In my opinion, when I started playing, I was in the same situation as everyone. I was a noob. Nobody knew who the hell I was. My name was fucking Nexxx Rambo space XII. I was a no-comer. Actually, I first started as Rambo Noob Killer. Only one name was Rambo Noob Killer, and I was a random. Everyone starts and relates to that section. No one ever starts as a pro. That's the thing that people forget. Everyone who comes to me and says, oh, why don't you give AMS a shot? I didn't ask for a shot from a pro team. I made the team I started off playing with Big Timer, because me and Big Timer knew each other from PS2, which was like, we were like little kids back then. We didn't have pubes back then. And
me either.
Like we were little dudes, and we started playing, and then we knew each other, so whenever we both had like similar goals to it. So we both wanted to play. We saw Walshy and them play Halo on TV, and we're like, oh shit, we want to do that. And when we found out there was that for Call of Duty, we started doing it. So everyone in general starts at the same point. And I think a lot of people forget that. Start your own team. Make teams with players that have the same similar goals as you. People will see eye to eye with you. Obviously, it's not easy to find, but you're never, ever, ever just going to go from 0 to hero. It never happens. Ever. Sorry to say, it's just never going to happen. Pro players, like my requirements as picking up a player, if I am a leader of a team, is the player I know who has the capability of winning. The only way of knowing that is the player that has been to events and has proven himself to be able to win. And you're not going to do that without going to events. So if you want to go from 0 to hero, make a team, go to an event, compete, do well, and then move your way up from there. It's as simple as that. Everyone is the same place. I'm sorry if you want to call me a jerk or if you want to tell me for being realistic or anything. It's the way it is. I'm telling you straight up. It's not. There's no other way of going about this. The second you're going to ask a pro to be, okay, give me a tryout, you're just slowing yourself down.
You're a jerk.
Now, in regards to like the tournaments that you played, going back to like AM teams, has there been any team that stuck out in your eyes that you've scrimmed even now? That
It's really hard to tell, to be honest. There's actually the one. If I'm going to say a team that stuck out in my eye was a team we scrimmed a team for 2 days straight. It was Matt Key, TR. I actually forgot their names already. I'm sorry to say they were Matt Key's team. I'll just go for that. And they were pretty good. But there's so many teams out there. It's like it's really to the point where this is the thing about the league. You could find out which is the best AM team, because the AM teams will be playing against each other to qualify for a pro spot. And that's the whole point. Is that if an AM wants to become a pro team, this is their chance. You're playing against AM teams. You're not playing against pros, because at events you have to play against pros to become pro. You're playing against an AM team, and the whole idea was a mix between the pro teams and the AM teams. The lower pro teams will play the top AM teams to know who goes up and who goes down. The up and down system, which is what GSL does, and it's incredibly entertaining.
Now, have you made any attempts to put this league into motion, or is it all
I did.
just a thought?
I was working with TGN, which was TGN sponsored 2 teams at Providence. That was a sponsor I was working with Extravagant. Now that I'm on Optic, obviously that's not going to work out, and I don't want to be mean to him or anything, but he was really slow to put out a site in general, and obviously it was all talk at that time. And I'm telling you right now, I don't really care who does it. We need a league like this. We need something for pros and AMs to play for something during the offseason. It's the perfect time to do it. There's so many teams that are trying to make a team together right now, and there's going to be a million team changes until there's going to be an actual something to play for. It's like everyone who makes a team changes between the offseason and the season, the only way you're going to know to find out if it's good or not is until there's a big tournament that people can play for. And I'm not saying a one-day tournament. I completely respect what you guys do with your tournaments. Every other tournament is perfect. I have no problems with it. But what I'm saying is a long tournament that can last for a long period of time. And
I
that's
totally just lost my question that I was going to ask you.
Here, I'll chime in while you're trying to figure it out.
So
Okay,
that
go.
was Rambo's cry to the community. Someone get this league up and going and make him a happy man.
There you go. Make
All
everyone
right.
happy, actually. I'm not going to be the one that's going to be happy about that. I swear to God.
In regards to league play, though, how does that necessarily fit in like EU teams that wanted to play, or is that limited to just North American?
You never thought about that.
I really hate to say, but it's just so hard to play online between EU teams and American teams.
Well, just the connection difference is frustrating in itself.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But the online play between both teams is really, really hard. In my opinion, there should be something similar in Europe. The site could just run a North American version, and then a European version, and then let's say if they really wanted to go really far into it, at an MLG event before, like let's say Friday morning, they could just run a final between both teams or something, and just live stream it at the event if they really wanted to. I mean, anything's possible really, but I'm just saying in general, I've been playing. I played some scrims with Mac and Excellency, some of my dudes that I met at MLG events. They're awesome guys, and I love these Euro wankers. I love them, and that's like, it's really to the point where it's just so hard to play online on their connection. It's going to be the same thing for us. To say it's a competitive match between a European team and an American team online, I just don't see it happening, to be honest.
Now, say some way, somehow, we come up with a universal rule set that's done in both North America and Europe. Run a league in both countries, find a sponsoring organization, hold a LAN between the top 2 teams for a final. How would that work?
Well, I mean, obviously the whole universal rule set was a great idea. I really don't see the problem with it. The only problem with Europeans and the rule set is they ban shit so fast, and it's not even funny how they ban. First of all, they ban a type, which I agreed in their situation because they literally had teams use it so much. Like, it was overseen in Europe. I don't know why it never caught on here. When the game came out, you had a few players using it here and there because it was good, but I guess down
You
here
never
they
saw it here because EU is set on burst fire weapons. You know, they always use their M16s, even in Black
yeah,
Ops.
obviously. I mean, but obviously, if it wasn't as good, like I don't know, it's a hard debate to go into. I don't really want to go into that, but in general,
Yeah.
I agree with the whole universal rule set. I completely agree with that. As far as like, it's easier for Europeans to go to events to come to North America if they have to play the same rule. It was really hard for them last year because they didn't play with FAMAS. So when they came down here and played with FAMAS and Stuns, it's a big difference for them. So, I mean, there's some things that I don't agree with what they ban. They ban a lot of attachments, which is, I mean, somewhat taken away from the game that doesn't really need to be taken away. It's not that bad of a thing. And I think that's the only problem they have in Europe is they ban shit so fast, and they don't really give anything a chance before just going straight to banning it. And I mean, obviously, I don't really feel like we need to do that the same thing as they do. If our rule set are really similar to the point where the only difference would be like extending mags on a gun, I really don't feel like it would be that different for them to come down here and use it. And that would be like kind of like a universal, not exactly the same, but if it's similar in its way, it wouldn't be that big of a difference, I think.
All right, Rambo. Well, that's about all the time we have for you today. Thanks for coming on. Do you have anything else you'd like to say before we let you go?
I love my team. I love Joey. I love Jordan. I love Will.
And you made your bed.
I love all of you, and I made my bed. Yeah, I did make it before 3 a.m. You guys made me do that today, and I'm kind of pissed off. But like I said, if anyone out there has I saw Hastro's tweet or say in the stream actually, he said it's really hard to get the funds, and it's not really about getting the funds, dude. It's just about putting your site out there. You don't really need to play with crazy amounts of money for the first season. Once it's out there and people see the ability of revenue this tournament like this has, even for streaming, you're going to make a lot of money streaming that tournament because it's top teams playing every night. But yeah, that's about it. Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
No problem. All right, well, we're going to take a short break, and then we're going to come back and wrap things up. Make sure you stay tuned. I'd laugh if
I
we
wouldn't
were
talk
on
about
air
it
for-
either.
All right, and welcome back. So that's about all we have for as far as interviewees go. We'd like to thank Nexxx and Rambo for coming on and gracing us with their presence. Rambo made his bed for all of you kind folks, and although he did not, Nexxx has been playing with his cat all night and was unable to get him a feature spot on the show. But anyways, I'm going to give it over to Emily to wrap things up.
All right, guys, what we're going to do is this is a weekly show, so it's going to be every Tuesday. I believe we're going to change from 7:30 Eastern to, I believe it's 8 p.m. now. Next week, we're going to try and feature an AM team along with having some more guests. So if you feel that your team is an up-and-coming AM team and you want to get featured, you can either tweet at myself, which is Emily Kate. I'll type it in the chat. Jake, which is Paradox Prince. I will also put it in there. Or just the general ESFI Twitter. Besides that, if you guys have anything else that you want featured on here, whether it be a tournament, anything big news in regards to Call of Duty, we want to see esports grow. So feel free to tweet at us, and if not, then we will see you guys back next week at 8 p.m. Eastern. Thanks so much.
Thank everyone for coming out. I hope you guys enjoyed the show. Once again, I am Jake Princefire Brostrom, and she is Miss Emily Kate, and we will see you guys next week. Thanks for watching.